The New South Wales election results are in, and it has been a clear win for Chris Minns and the Labor Party. Governments that have been in for over a decade always find it hard to maintain the momentum that's needed to keep winning. And with 12 years of accumulated barnacles, many of which stemmed from the factional problems that plague the New South Wales division of the Liberal Party, Premier Dominic Perrottet, as he then was, didn't have an easy task. Chris Minns is a presentable bloke. He appears as pretty normal, and that definitely worked to his political advantage. It didn't seem to matter an awful lot that his policy cupboard was bare. It'll take some time before people really know what they've bought here. Even his victory speech had little clue in it as to what his legislative agenda really was, just a new vibe.
After 12 years in opposition, the people of New South Wales have voted for a fresh start.
There's no doubt Labor were able to capitalise on the frustrations of outer suburban people with the rising cost of living and similar frustrations with the commuter life. That's despite the fact that no other state government comes even close to the New South Wales Coalition's record on building roads and rail, the infrastructure that gets people moving and home faster. Minns didn't seem to get a lot of blowback either from federal Labor's underperformance on the cost of living so far. Either people are content to give Mr Albanese a bit longer to start delivering, or they really do appreciate the difference between state and federal issues. Now, that frustration that we saw in the outer suburbs isn't helped when the dominance of the Liberal left in the coalition saw them chasing down the pet issues of the urban wealthy, like so-called climate action, at the expense of affordable and reliable energy. How many times did we hear now former Treasurer Matt Kean say this?
Taking action on climate change that's going to grow our economies.
It's not helped when, on matters of social significance, common sense too often got pushed to the side too. How many elections will it take for a chunk of people in the party I so love to realise that the path forward doesn't consist of pretending to be the Diet Coke version of Labor or the Greens? Anyone who finds that attractive would just go for the real thing, the full-strength version. That this principle is borne out in reality is shown by the fact that the Nationals did a better job of sticking to their fundamentals and were rewarded by their much better result. As a consequence, they'll have greater influence within the coalition going forward. But what frustrates me so much is that the values on which the Liberal Party was founded, free enterprise, individual responsibility, strong families and civil society, recognition of the dignity of the individual, fundamental freedoms, valuing small business and good stewardship, they are as good now as they were in Menzies' time. And nowhere in those values do I see pandering to identity politics, eco-extremism or soothing elite guilt by making the poor and aspiring unable to pay their bills. Nowhere in the party's values does it endorse big government, whether it manifests in the context of COVID or otherwise. The New South Wales Coalition Government can be proud of the ways in which they delivered on infrastructure and in their pre-budget economic management. New South Wales' education system outperformed the rest of the nation, and its economy surged ahead to lead the country, even in the COVID recovery. The time is now, though, for the New South Wales Liberal Party to reform, to embrace internal democracy fully, and with it, parliamentary members who truly reflect the communities they serve. It's time to unashamedly embrace the Liberal identity within that broad classical Liberal and conservative tradition, and to commit to shaping society and culture in line with those values rather than merely floating with the fashion of the day. The dominance of the Labor Green left in our public conversations today is the product of classical and Liberal conservative voices bowing out of the hard discussions for, let's face it, a few decades now. There is not a moment to lose. Our country needs people of courage and conviction more right now, prepared to change hearts and minds rather than just capitulate to the social fads that seem to be a fait accompli. They only become that when the Liberal Party fails to show up and fails to unashamedly be themselves.